for this first part, for this whole first set of questions until we get to the game show format.
Got it.
Okay, so please tell me your full name, and all of these just speak to me kind of in full sentences, so instead of starting with your names, my name is, your full name, title, and which office you're in. So I'm a commercial developer in Boston, and I've been with Skanska for how many years?
My name is Alexandra Kirk, and I am on the commercial development team as a development manager in Boston. I started in our DC office in 2016 full-time and moved to Boston in the beginning of 2018, and I've been with CD for a little over a year.
Great. And your internship was in CD as well?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so what were you doing before this? What's either your academic background or where were you working before this? Not specific company name, but just kind of generally career-wise. What were you doing prior to that?
So before Skanska, I was an architect in DC, and I actually left architecture and went back to school to get my MBA. Skanska hired me as an intern out of school and then actually made me a full-time offer after I graduated.
So that's a very interesting and kind of unique path for a lot of the developers. Why, in you, the pivot? Why did you decide to make a pivot from architecture to this side of the business, part one, and then part two, why specifically Skanska? But let's do part one first.
So I decided to pivot out of architecture specifically because I was interested in being the person who made the decisions, and I looked at the clients and I kind of got jealous of what they got to decide and how they got to manage projects, and I saw that as something more interesting than kind of getting to develop the whole picture. And Skanska specifically was really appealing to me, not only because as an architect my firm actually was the architect on several projects, but I really connected with Skanska's values. I love the fact that the company cares about design and sustainability and how the building will affect the community, and it's unlike other developers where they're kind of just looking at bottom line and trying to make the most money. Skanska's looking holistically and trying to do what's best for every project.
Okay. And because it's a historical film, we're going to show a lot of old footage of a lot of our early developments being built, but at the time that you interned, what projects were you either working on directly or what projects were going on in DC that first time that you interned?
So when I was an intern, I was working on the RESA project, which was the first fully financed project for the commercial development group in the U.S., which is really exciting. The project was just kicking off, so we were actually signing our GMP with USB. There was also the 99M project, which was in the ground, and 2112 was starting to come up out of the ground at that time.
Why did you decide to come to Boston?
So actually, when I was hired, the assumption from both my part and the commercial development group was that I would move to DC for just a short amount of time. So I was prepared to move anywhere in the country to be a part of the Skanska team.
Okay, great. What surprised you? What has surprised you over the last couple of years that is different than what you expected? And I think yours is an interesting perspective. So the answer could be, this has surprised me about Skanska that I wasn't necessarily expecting when I came in the door, or it's a career pivot too, right?
Yeah.
When I was doing this architecture thing and I explained to you I wanted to make a pivot, was there anything about the industry shift that surprised you?
So I would say for my pivot from architecture to development, I was kind of expecting more of a stuck-up feeling amongst my coworkers, and now that I've spent time with basically people from all of our offices, I would say there's no sense of that whatsoever with anyone. And because we are a construction manager as well, I wasn't expecting everyone to be kind of as fun and goofy as some people are. I mean, I definitely think that the motto of work hard, play hard is something that each person at Skanska CDUS lives by.
How do those architecture roots creep into your work that you're doing now, that you notice in yourself, that you might bring that other team members don't have?
I definitely think that I know the holes that can happen with our architecture team, and so I'm quick to point those out and to look at them with a critical eye, not necessarily about just the aesthetics, but how certain design will wear, or whether or not they're being realistic about the way they're drawing or presenting something. Especially with the projects that I'm working on where we're at a conceptual level, I can look at things from a concept eye, but also kind of look down the line and say, I think we're going to fall into a pit hole here.
Good. What's most exciting to you about the work that you do day to day? Most exciting part of your job?
I would say the most exciting thing I do day to day would be just thinking about the sheer scale of the projects we get to work on. You're not necessarily looking at something that's going to affect, only 100 people. It's something that's really going to affect an entire neighborhood. And so I really get a lot of joy from being able to say that I'm going to help impact, a couple million people throughout the life of the project.
Great. What are you working on now?
Simmons.
What is that?
It's a pursuit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A pursuit for a new thing we're going to develop, or for?
Yeah,
Okay.
for a new. It's like a land exchange.
Okay. What does the next 10 years for USA development look like for you? USA commercial development as a group.
So I think the next 10 years for CDUS looks like a lot of growth. Even since I started as an intern, I've seen a lot of people come on board, and we've really tried to ramp up kind of the different aspects of the team to fill out what maybe we didn't have originally, kind of being a lean, more startup vision. I definitely am excited to see probably the biggest change being a more aggressive nature in all of our markets on what we're looking at, how we're chasing deals, looking at deals that are a little more non-traditional for probably Sweden, but a lot more interesting for everybody to work on too.
Very good. Okay,